You know, I think it's appropriate that we end Tim Burton month and the month of October as a whole with a film that contains the song This Is Halloween, but has Christmas in the title. Yeah, that's the kind of weird that we've come to expect from Tim Burton. The Nightmare Before Christmas. Or is it Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas? I don't know, but either way, The Nightmare Before Christmas is directed not by Tim Burton, but instead directed by Henry Selick, who's made an impressive career for himself in making stop-motion animated movies. You know, like James and the Giant Peach, Coraline, Paranorman, those kinds of movies. But even so, there is no doubt that this is Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. This has Tim Burton's flavor of German expressionism throughout the entire movie, from the designs of the sets to the designs of the characters and everything in between. This is dripping in Tim Burton's style, which is appropriate because this is based off of Tim Burton's poem of the same name. Now, if you watched my Batman Returns video from earlier this month, I mentioned that Tim Burton's style works best when it has a simple storyline. And this story is as simple as they come. And this is because Nightmare Before Christmas is a stop-motion fairy tale. It's a sweet, heartfelt fable about what would happen if the characters that we associate with Halloween took over Christmas for a year. This story focuses on Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King of Halloween Land, the folk hero, and he's voiced by Chris Sarandon, who you may recognize as Prince Humperdinck from The Princess Bride. But when he sings, he's voiced by Danny Elfman, who wrote all the songs in this movie and is a longtime collaborator with Tim Burton. But Jack feels bored and unfulfilled with his life as the Pumpkin King, and he searches for new adventures and winds up in Christmas Land, where for the first time he's exposed to a holiday other than Halloween. And on top of that, Christmas is such a polar opposite to everything that Halloween is that he just can't help but be mesmerized by this mystery. So then he comes back and he tells everybody about his amazing discovery and gets everyone all riled up about Christmas, but nobody really understands what makes Christmas great. It's this weird Halloween perversion of Christmas because that's all they know. That's their frame of reference. And it's pretty funny how the Halloween characters try to emulate Christmas without actually emulating Christmas. So then Jack comes up with a brilliant idea of, hey, why don't we just do Christmas this year? What's the worst that could happen? So then he sends Lock, Shock, and Barrel, these three trick-or-treater kids, on a quest to kidnap Santa, or Sandy Claus as they say, which they do, and then Jack goes off to make Christmas in his image, which of course is a huge disaster. It terrifies the children, it doesn't meet the expectations of Christmas, and when Jack finally realizes the magnitude of his failure, he has to rescue Santa from Oogie Boogie, the boogeyman that Lock, Shock, and Barrel work for, voiced by Ken Page, who I always thought was Mr. Nazar from VeggieTales. You know, the pickle that was obsessed with the bunnies. I always thought they had the same voice, but no, they're completely different actors. So this all climaxes in a fight with Oogie Boogie to rescue Santa so that he can return to the human world and save Christmas. And then it ends with everyone in Halloween Town realizing that maybe they should just stick to Halloween. So yeah, the story is incredibly simple. It's only 90 minutes long. It has a very clear beginning, middle, and end. But just like Beetlejuice, this works to the film's advantage because it allows you to just get sucked in by the visuals and the designs and the creativity on display here. But the best thing about this movie is the songs. These songs are some of Danny Elfman's best work, period. And this is a guy who scored the first two Batman movies, the Spider-Man movies, just to name a few. These songs are incredibly catchy, and not just match the tone of the scene that they're in, but also the atmosphere of the location, whether it's Halloween Land, Christmas Land, or the human world. And there are too many songs for me to give my thoughts on every song, but here are a few of my favorites. You have This Is Halloween, which has become the anthem for the holiday since. It's incredibly catchy, the lyrics are creative, and it matches the visuals perfectly. What's This is just as catchy as This Is Halloween, but this one is just drenched in Christmas nostalgia and sleigh bells, and it just feels like Christmas. And then you've got Oogie Boogie Song, which is by far my favorite song in the entire soundtrack. This song is catchy, it's intimidating, it's visually stunning when it goes to the blacklight segment, but on top of that, it is such a great homage to Cab Calloway when he did those weird Betty Boop cartoons. Ken Page and Danny Elfman did such a great job with crafting this character, and Oogie Boogie is by far the most enjoyable presence in this movie. However, there is one song that I just don't like, and it's Sally's song. I don't like this song. I like the melody of it, and when it's played in the background as a leitmotif whenever Sally's on screen, it works really well. It's really sad, but it also gives a sense of longing, which is key to Sally's character. But when she actually starts singing the lyrics, this movie just grinds to a halt for me. I think part of it's because it's not a very dynamic song. It kind of holds on that one melancholy note throughout the entire song, but also it's placed in a weird spot. She's singing about her fears and insecurities right after she created this fog that effectively put Jack's plan, a plan that she's been worried about from the beginning, out of commission. I feel like that song would have been most effective if she did it right after she had that premonition of the Christmas tree catching on fire. I don't know, for me that placement would have made more sense because she's very concerned about Jack's safety, but she's also concerned about being ignored by Jack's fascination with Christmas. I don't know, maybe they did it because of pacing, but Sally's song is just the weakest of the songs, in my opinion. But if we're talking about the things in this movie that don't work so well, there are some things that don't destroy the movie, but do kind of take me out of it a little. And that is viewing A Nightmare Before Christmas as a Christmas movie. Now, The Night Before Christmas has gathered a reputation of being the perfect movie to bridge Christmas and Halloween. It's a movie you can pop on in October, and it's a movie you can pop on in December, and it works just as well on both occasions. I don't buy that. I buy that it does tackle both holidays, I just don't see it working for me as a Christmas movie. And it's really because of two factors. Number one, everyone in Christmastown looks creepy. If you were to put up a silhouette of a character from Christmastown and a silhouette from Halloween Town, I bet you couldn't tell them apart. And I think this just comes down to Tim Burton's style and the proportions of his characters always being a little off. But if you're going to present a Christmastown, which is the embodiment of everything Christmas that's warm and loving and cheerful and full of goodwill, maybe don't let Tim Burton design those characters. Maybe give them to somebody else. Maybe design them closer to the Rankin-Bass Christmas specials of the 60s. I mean, if Elf was able to do it, why can't they do it here? But the other thing that makes this movie fail as a Christmas movie is that if you look at the classic Christmas stories that everybody knows, you know, your Christmas carols, your Miracle on 34th Street, your Grinch, they're all about teaching the main character a lesson about appreciating Christmas for what it is and not for what the marketing and commercialization of Christmas is. But if you look back to Night Before Christmas, Jack, Sally, the mayor, nobody really learns a lesson like this. The lesson that they learn is just to appreciate your holiday and do that to the best of your ability, which is a fine enough moral in itself, but for a Christmas movie, it doesn't really cut it. And even when you're in Christmas land or when you see Santa Claus restoring Christmas to the way it should be, there's not a lot of joy or happiness or even just singing going on in those scenes. The movie instead focuses a lot more on the Halloween stuff. And for a Halloween movie, this works really well. It's fascinating to see what these Halloween characters interpret Christmas like, and to see this ill-conceived notion of doing it themselves come to pass. And watching it again, it does play a lot like those old Rankin-Bass cartoons from the 60s. And I find it weird that they never really did much with Halloween. They did a lot of Christmas, and they did tackle other holidays, but they didn't really tackle Halloween. And I feel like between Henry Selick and Tim Burton, they tried to craft something that felt at home with those old specials, but made it about Halloween, a holiday that they didn't really cover back then. So that about wraps up my thoughts on Nightmare Before Christmas, and it wraps up Tim Burton month. So I want to thank you guys for sticking with me through this entire month of October, where I talked about some of Tim Burton's best and weirdest movies. And if you want to see my ranking of the movies that I've talked about this month, here they are. I'm sure you're not at all surprised that Batman is at the top of the list and Batman Returns is at the bottom, but that's just how I feel. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content, and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a video. And I want to wish all you guys a happy Halloween. If you can go out trick-or-treating, do it. Enjoy yourselves, be safe, and as always, I'm Colby. This is my Nerdy Talk, and I'll see you in the next video.